All right, this is part two of a three-part video series on perfect competition. In the last video, we went over the perfect competition characteristics, which you see summarized on this particular screen. We have assumptions, four very important assumptions, and the conditions that must exist for these assumptions to arise. I will be referring to entry and exit. I'll be referring to um, um, buyers and sellers being well informed. I'll be referring to the perfect substitute characteristics and so on as we go through this video. So make sure that you have this information available that you can refer to as we go. You can see down at the bottom three different things that we need to make sure that we know before this is all said and done. So let us move on to graphical analysis. All right, so first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we understand that there is a side-by-side graph that we have to deal with. There is the market side, which is going to be on the left side of the graph, and the firm side, which is on the right side of the graph. You need to make sure that you can distinguish between the market and the firm. When you draw a graph for perfect competition, such as in a short answer or what have you, you need to learn to do the side-by-side graph by default. Now, we will not have a side-by-side graph in any of the other competition types. This is the only one that we have this side-by-side graph. And it has to do with the fact that the firm is such a small percent of the whole, we want to look at both sides. On the market side here on the left, the supply represents all of the suppliers in the industry that we're dealing with. The demand represents all of the buyers. So if we take a look at the entire market, then we see in my example that the equilibrium quantity established by the market is 1 million products, whatever that product may be, say corn, 1 million bushels of corn. The individual firm is just a very teeny tiny piece of that whole. So in this particular case, I have my firm producing at a profit maximum of 100 units. Now, we need to realize that the firm could produce, I don't know, say maximum, we'll say 200 units. So let's say that this firm chose to produce 200 units quantity. This is the maximum the firm could use. If they use every single, say it's corn, if they used every single square inch of their farm, put everything into it, they can make 200 bushels of corn. However, we need to realize that they may not want to make 200 bushels of corn. Why not? Because of profit maximization. They are going to produce at a quantity in which they are maximizing their profit. That's why they're in business in the first place, is to acquire profit. We learned in the previous unit that the profit maximizing rule is MR equals MC. Boom, boom. So even though they might be able to make 200 units, they're not going to unless it's profit maximizing. So I'm going to get rid of that. This particular firm has decided their profit max is 100 units. Excellent. Now, they are a price taker, which means if this firm raises their price, say, to $6 a bushel, they won't sell any. And it's because all the buyers and sellers are aware of the market price, and they can get the exact identical product from another supplier somewhere else. They're not going to lower their price due to the fact that they could sell, say the 200 units I mentioned a moment ago, they can sell everything that they want to sell at $5 a bushel, which means that why would they lower their price? There is no advantage to stealing customers or what have you. So they become a price taker. Now, as we go through these graphs, the rule, identify profit max quantity. Identify profit max quantity. Find the MC and MR and identify that quantity. That is the quantity the firm will produce at. Regardless of what I do to the graph, identify profit max quantity. Boom. All right, so moving on. What we're going to do is we're going to assess the four conditions that exist. There are four conditions, and the conditions are positive economic profit, negative economic profit, zero economic profit, and shutdown. Now what I want you to notice is what's changing here, at least in the first three, is the ATC. So 1, 2, 3. The location of the ATC is what's important in this analysis. The average total cost, the ATC is going to represent for us their average cost of producing. So what we do is we take, you'll notice here the market graph is off the screen. I didn't draw it on here. So we're just going to look at the firm side on this analysis. But we know the market graph is out there on the left. Okay, what we're going to do is step 1, identify profit max, MCMR. Where those two come together, we create this quantity right here. Find it, label it, draw the dotted line. That is what we're going to work from. Now what we have to understand, I'm going to put the P, that got messed up, okay. What we have to understand is that, let me adjust this just because of my OCD, got to be perfect, excellent. What we have to understand here is at the profit max quantity, which is the highest possible profit they can earn, the quantity hits the ATC at a point that is less than the price. So let me get my little dotted line here. Good. Notice that the quantity we're producing hits a dollar amount less than what the price tag is. Okay? What that means is, taking a look at this, here's your price tag. However, right here, this is their average cost of production at that particular level. So the average cost of production is less than the price that they are receiving on the open market. What that means is the all-important price is greater than average total cost, which means they're bringing in a higher revenue level than it cost. Their revenue is higher than their cost, which is a positive profit. Now notice how I drew this. I established my quantity at profit maximizing, and where that quantity hit, right there, where that quantity hit the ATC is where I cut over. Don't go to the lowest ATC point. That's incorrect. You profit max quantity, where it hits the ATC, cut over. And what we wanted to get used to doing is what's called shade and label. You find this little rectangle that's just been the rectangle that's been created, and we want to label this profit or positive profit. Positive profit. Profit. There we go. All right, we want to label that positive profit, and then we want to draw an arrow. Boom. Boom, boom. The shaded area is the area of positive profit. At the firm's profit maximizing level of output, this firm is earning a positive economic profit because price is greater than ATC. This is the area of profit that's been shaded and it's been labeled. Now, what happens next? This is a short run condition. If you look at the bottom left of the screen, this is a short run condition only. This cannot last in the long run. Of course, the question becomes, why not? The reason why this cannot last in the long run is because there are no barriers to entry or exit. So given the fact that this firm is earning positive economic profit, there will be firms that enter the market. Let's go back and look at this screen. As firms enter the market, the number of suppliers, and there will be entry, the number of suppliers is actually going to increase. As supply begins to increase, notice the equilibrium on the market side moving down. So in other words, it's going to drive the market price down. And since the firm is a price taker, the result of that is going to be a lowering of the marginal revenue, as you see there. Okay, so let's go back to this screen. So because of the positive economic profit, there will be entry. The supply on the market side will begin to shift right as we have more sellers. As that begins to happen, this marginal revenue line is going to start to drop because the firm is a price taker, and it's going to eventually drop to what is called the long run equilibrium, which is zero profit. So this is a short run condition only. It cannot last in the long run. All right, that's positive economic profit. Negative economic profit, again, step one, never forget, identify profit maximizing quantity. The profit maximizing quantity in this particular case is set by MC equals MR, and you see the line here. Now what we want to do here is we want to take this profit maximizing quantity and we want to extend that line all the way up until it hits the ATC. Notice how I just extended the dotted line at the profit max quantity till it hits the ATC. The reason why we do this is because we want to identify what the average cost of production is at our profit maximizing level. So we take the profit max quantity, extend it to the ATC, cut over. Notice we've created this rectangle. Take the rectangle and shade it in. Boom, boom. And what we notice is that this price here, the average total cost price, is actually higher. Put it right there. Is actually higher than the price on the open market. What that means is the price is less than the ATC. If the price is less than the ATC, as we see here, price is less than the ATC. The price of the product is less than the average total cost. What that means for us is, boom, this would be the area of negative profit or loss. So that is the area of loss. Now, what's going to happen now? What's going to wind up happening here is this is short run. Again, this is short run. Why? Because there are no barriers to entry and exit. So what's going to begin to happen is, let's go back to boom, boom, this screen. What's going to happen in this particular case, let me move this back to where it was. We're going to have the weaker firms are going to begin to exit the market. The weaker firms are going to begin to exit the market. That's going to drive supply down. Notice that by driving the supply down, because there are fewer buyers, the price goes up, which drives the price, taking surviving firms' marginal revenue up, drives the price up. So let's move forward again. What winds up happening is this marginal revenue begins to move up as we begin to see more and more suppliers exit the market, and we'll eventually wind up at zero profit in the long run. So this is another short run condition. Now, something to pay attention to yet again. Notice, let me choose a different color here. Notice that this quantity line that I drew, I take it up to the ATC right here, and then I cut over. Don't go to the lowest ATC. That doesn't matter for us. You take the profit max quantity and you go up and find where it hits the ATC, and that's where you cut over when you shade this area of loss. Be very attentive to that idea. All right, so we have two short run conditions: positive economic profit, negative economic profit. They are short run because there are no barriers to entry and exit, which will drive the number of producers either in or out of the market, which will shift the equilibrium price on the market side, which has a direct effect on the marginal revenue line, which is the price on the firm side, which will adjust us to what is called, boom, long run or zero economic profit. This is the long run condition of a perfectly competitive firm. Again, why is it the long run economic condition? Due to the fact that there are no barriers to entry and exit. So this is where we're going to wind up in the end. Notice that in this particular case, price not plus equals ATC. Price equals ATC. You see this. Boom. Here's the ATC curve. Here's the price set because they're a price taker, the MR, P equals ATC. This is your long run condition. That's your third condition. So this is where we're going to wind up at all. Why don't we have entry and exit? There's no incentive for entry and exit. There's no excessive profit to be earned, which would encourage entry, and there's no loss taking place, which would encourage exit. So this is where we settle. The last condition is shutdown. Now the big deal with shutdown is we need to know that when price is less than ABC, average variable cost, we're going to actually shut down. Why is that? Well, if you assess a short run condition, and let's say I'm going to take a $50 loss if I stay in business and incur a loss. However, my fixed costs are only $20. Well, if I shut down, I have to pay my fixed cost, which is $20, whereas if I stay in business, it's $50. So it's cheaper to shut down. Go to Module 59 and review this idea. Read closely. We'll talk about